On guys, it is Jake and Khakis here, and we are back in it for another video. This time doing something a little bit different than what we normally do. So normally we're playing a game, and sometimes I'll give hints and little tricks and stuff that I have picked up over time of playing games and stuff. But this one's going to be specifically catered to how I warm up before I play online, and also some helpful tips with the new update. So if we look at my classes here, this is custom games, or actually this isn't. These are my normal classes. That's weird. Oh, I'm not in custom games this way. Failure. Alright, so if we go into custom games, you can see my classes. We have a paladin class, SOG class, an outlaw class, a rampart without any attachments, and this is important so that you can get used to no recoil. But I'll go into why I have these classes set up in a minute. I'm just showing you which classes I have. We got the Locust. This is the new sniper. I was just playing around with it, trying to get my feel for it. Of course, now we have it gold, so and then we have another Locust class again, just playing around with some attachments, and that's pretty much it for my classes. Now, the reason why I have so many sniper classes is, one, when you practice offline, at least for me, what I'm trying to do is try and become more accurate, because some people, they're just amazingly accurate, and their tracking abilities are just crazy good. And I think that that's partially to do with their practicing, and also with how they practice. Now, this is how I practice. If you have friends, the best way to practice is to get a group of friends and go into private matches, play what you guys want, and just kind of play around, have fun with it. That's the best part. But if you don't have friends that play consistently, this is a good alternative to that. So, moving into the classes here, we have the Paladin setup. Now, the reason why I have the Paladin is it's probably between this sniper and the Locust are the two most powerful in my opinion. Now, the Paladin has a slower aim-in time, and with Stabilizer 1 and 2, it does make the sway a lot easier to work with. And then we have high caliber 1 and 2, so that way we're not getting hit markers, and this is just so we get those one shots for the majority of the time. And so we have high caliber 1 and 2, Stabilizer 1 and 2, and then we got Stim Shot. You can use whatever accessories, death effects you want. I just got this new one for Magma. I'm gonna throw that on. That's pretty cool. But just, you don't necessarily have to do a Paladin, but I recommend, if you're going to work on accuracy, to use a sniper. And we'll get into why I have a submachine gun and assault rifle class in a minute. But yeah, definitely set up a Paladin class, and if you want to go even further with it, you can go into your options, go to your control settings, and then turn off your target assist and aim assist. Now, some people have told me that aim assist doesn't affect snipers, and it won't affect certain weapons. In my opinion, it does affect snipers. That's just my personal opinion. Maybe it's the target assist that affects snipers, but that's just kind of a gray area. But if you really want to work on your accuracy, what I would recommend is to set the kill limit to about 100. Play free for all. You don't want any teammates when you're practicing, because they'll take your kills, and you're just going for as many kills as possible. And I normally do 100 kills with no time limit on free for all, with the max amount of bots I can on just the normal difficulty. And that's how I practice my accuracy. And it's been helping quite a bit. Like, before I go into rounds, this is what I do. Like pub matches, this is how I warm up my aiming. Now, The SOG class, this is how I practice my trying as hard as I can, or as some people call it, try-harding. And you know, you can play around the classes and figure out what works best with you know your specific needs, I guess, or you know how you play your play style. But when I'm rushing, I want something that's solid, has good damage, medium to long range. Isn't necessarily a problem with the SOG. Now, the further out they are, the more difficult the shots become with the SOG, but that's why we got grip and quick draw. That'll increase your accuracy and it'll just make it a lot easier for you to get those kills. And of course, if you're playing with normal bots, which is what I normally do, um, it's not really that big of a problem because they're pretty easy to kill. Now, again, with the perks for these classes, they're not necessarily the most important, but I have Scavenger on all but this class, and the reason for that is you'll run out of ammo pretty quickly. But yeah, you don't really have to use the guns that I'm using here. They're not like, you know, the God gun. You're just gonna fucking do amazing if you're using this setup. 'Cause that's not really how Call of Duty works. It's more what you're good with, and you have to really put in the time to figure that out. You know, some people might be really good with the swordfish. I can't use it, but I've seen people do amazing. So it's just one of those things. Moving along here, we got the Outlaw class again, just quick draw. So we got the quick aim in, grip for a little bit less recoil, and then I got high caliber and stabilizer to make my shot a little bit easier. Let's take that off, and I'm gonna put on Gung Ho, and we'll do Dead Silent instead of the Cap 45. We don't need a secondary necessarily. I was just playing around with the Cap 45, trying to get used to its recoil. But again, this is just a class setup that I'm using for the Outlaw because it's one of my weaker snipers. It's really hard for me to use this thing, so I've been practicing a lot with it, and it's definitely improved. I think that we have all of the camos now except for the Spectrum, which is for 5 kills without dying 5 times. That's the only camo I have left for this sniper. But yeah, moving along. Now, this is an important class. I highly recommend setting up something similar to this. You don't have to have the MOG. I just had the MOG on there because I like it. I don't know. I just had it on there. But you don't have to do that. You just do all perks and then do a Rampart or something with high recoil. And the reason why I say to set a class up like this is if you're working on getting more accurate, putting a gun on with no attachments is probably the best way to do it, in my opinion, just because you're going to get used to there being constant recoil. And also, without perks, your muscle memory is going to get used to you not having the quick draw, the long barrel, the stock, and all that, and it'll just make your shot that much better when you do have those attachments on. That's why sometimes when you see yourself doing better after you've unlocked certain attachments that you've been waiting for a really long time, that's, I think, a part of it. So just keep that in mind. This is definitely going to be a good class. Again, perks aren't really that big of a deal as long as you have Scavenger on when you're dealing with bots, just because again, it's bots, so it really doesn't matter as much for the perks. This isn't really a in-depth guide for making classes. This is just tips and tricks on practicing and honing in on your individual skills as a player. Now, moving on to the last two, these two classes, I recommend putting on stuff that you're working on, stuff that you want to get better with. I was using the Locust just because I was trying to get used to it. It's the newest weapon I have unlocked. And then I had one class that was without a scope, and then one class with the thermal or the NVIR scope. And again, it really doesn't matter that much as long as you have at least one class without any attachments and plenty of perks. to compensate for that. That way you can get used to that. And then also your tryhard class, something that you're, you know, really good with, that you can, you know, consistently do well with. And then sniper class, so that way you can work on the accuracy. So those are the classes I have set up. You know, feel free to try them out for yourself and, you know, practice. We are going to hop in here. I'm going to show you how I set up the game modes. So what I do is I normally set up my map first. So I go to Nuketown or something small like Grind, Nuketown, something along those lines. Nuketown is my go-to. I normally do this one just because it's one of those maps where it's like impossible to not find a bot. And if you're playing somewhere like, for example, the new DLC's Remnant or this one, these two are like really big maps, and sometimes it's hard to find people. So when you're practicing, you don't want to do a map that's really big. You want to do something small where you're taking as many shots as possible in a short amount of time. So that's why I do that. And it's also why I play free-for-all and not something like TDM where I'm on my own team, that I have 6 bots versus me, because you're only facing 6 people at that point. And I think that the limit is 12 bots, maybe it's 11. But just go ahead and add in all your bots, set your map. Again, you know, you can do whatever map you want. I just recommend free-for-all on Nuketown, but you can, you know, practice however you want. And what I like to do is turn off the time limit just so you don't run out of time. Or if you, let's say you want to practice for X amount of time, you could set a time limit and then do unlimited score. But for the purpose of this video, we're just going to set it up how I normally do it, which is 100 points and then unlimited time. And then I go into the specialist. You don't have to do this. It's just something that I do because I really don't like these specific ones on the bots. So I take off Nomad, Ajax, so that way there's no dogs running around that are fuck you over, or, you know, flashbangs or anything like that, because this is just us trying to work on our accuracy. And then I also like to take off the torque, so that way there's no shields or anything getting in our way. And then the rest of them, it's not really that important if you know, they're out there, because, you know, they're gonna screw you over anyways. But yeah, that's how I normally set it up: is take off Ajax, take off Nomad, and take off torque, and then go to your free-for-all or whatever game mode settings you're doing, and set it as either unlimited time and 100 points, or set it at unlimited points and then do a time limit if that's how you want to do it. So we're gonna hop in here. After you get it all set up, you know, make your classes, get everything squared away. Now, score streaks, I recommend taking them off or just doing UAV, just so that, you know, they're not taking away from the kills, because the whole purpose of this is to get as many kills as possible with your gun and you being as accurate as possible. So once you get all your stuff set up, go ahead and start it up, and I'll show you kind of what we're working with here. Alright, so hopping in here, you can play as whatever specialist you prefer. I'm going to do Reaper just because occasionally I like to pull out his minigun and, you know, just go ham. Now what I would recommend is starting off with your sniper class. I'm going to do the paladin class with the high caliber 1 and 2, stabilizer 1 and 2, scavenger lightweight, stim shot, primary gunfighter 1 and 2. And this is the class that I'm going to use for probably about 25 kills. I like to do at least 25 kills per weapon that we're going to use. So let me go into the settings here before we start killing people. Go to target assist and aim assist. Go ahead and turn those babies off. And now it's all you. So you're going to try and get as many kills as you possibly can without dying. And just try and be as accurate as you can be. Again, sensitivity is one of those things you got to kind of play with and figure out what works best for you. I'm currently using 7.7 with 1.1. But you can run whatever, you know, feels the most comfortable to you.
UAV standing by.
And you are going to die, but what you're trying to do is figure out what your average is, and then try and build on it. And it's good to hold down areas, try and get as many people on screen as possible. That way it gives you kind of, I would say, a little bit more of a difficult situation.
Hostile outrider down.
And really try and work on your tracking. You want to try and be as accurate as possible again. It's okay if you miss shots, because you will miss, but the point of this isn't, you know, to make you the god player or the best player in the game. It's just to work on those fundamentals. So when you do hop online, you know, you kind of have a little bit of a warm-up.
Hostile neutralized. Kill count ++. Inform. Hacker eliminated. Kill action confirmed. Hostile outrider down. Kill count ++. Neutralized fire break. Zero kill. Fire break kill.
And there we go. So that was about 25 kills. Now we're going to pull out the SOG. And again, we're using no aim assist, no target assist while we're doing this. And it's going to feel really weird and really awkward. But once you get used to it, I'm telling you, it's going to make a huge difference in your shooting.
Hostile outrider down.
Again, working on those long shots there. I'm going to get practice in all ranges.
Kill.
Systems have been infected by an enemy hacker.
Kill. EKIA. Located enemy purifier.
Your control systems are back online.
That's right. Hostile neutralized. Destroyed outrider.
Systems have been infected by an enemy hacker.
Flame unit destroyed. Flame unit destroyed. Zero neutral. Inform fire break down. Neutralized fire break.
Hostile malware has been installed in your system.
Now once you've getting to more of the middle of the round, we're at about 55 kills. We're gonna pull out the weapon with the most recoil, no attachments, and again, you can, you know, kind of do it however you want. You know, play one round with each weapon, that kind of thing. That's what I normally do. But if you're, you know, doing what I'm doing, 100 kills, you know, just try and switch it up every so often. Now, again, with this one, we're just trying to work on our accuracy, and with this recoil on and no attachments is going to be, you know, again, very awkward at first, but once you get used to it, you'll get the hang of it, and you'll start to see improvement. And each time you do this, you should be able to kind of keep track of your scores and notice that you're getting better over time. And again, use different weapons, find what works best for you. We're averaging about a 4.8 right now, but you know, this could change. I like to check it at the end to really get that final score. Alright, and then we'll finish it off with the Locust, because I really like this weapon.
Zero neutralized.
An enemy has hacked and disabled your control systems. Hostile malware has been cleaned from your systems.
Kill action confirmed. Inform. Hacker eliminated.
Hostile system intrusion
Your
has been
systems
detected.
have been infected by an enemy hacker.
Enemy destroyed. Neutralized firebreak. Hostile outriders down. Zero kill. No life sign.
Hostile malware has been cleaned from your
Target
systems.
removed. EKIA. EKIA.
There it is, boys. And that's how you finish it out. We watch our best play. But that's how I warm up. Those are just some things to keep in mind. And again, you're just looking at your final score, so you can see that I averaged at about a 5.26. When I started doing this, I was averaging, with the exact same setups that we're using now, I believe it was like a 3.9, 4.2 in that range, something like that. And you can see that it's already gone up quite a bit. And again, you know, you're gonna have your off days, you're gonna have your on days, you know, different things are going on, maybe there's distractions, stuff like that. Those are different factors. This is just working on your aim. You know, those were just some mild tips for you guys. Nothing super complicated there. Just kind of showing you how I warm up and, you know, get ready for going online. And if you guys do have any questions or anything that I didn't address in the video that you guys want to know about, I will do my best to explain what I can for you. Again, some of the terminology can get kind of complicated when we're talking about Call of Duty, and you know, I try and keep things as simple as possible. Hopefully this video helped you guys out and gave you guys something to kind of, you know, help you along in making progress in your gains. I'll see you guys out there, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching.